into self-development and inner work, shadow work, all of these types of things, really consciously creating the life that you actually desire, then I'm sure you have tried different things. Maybe you've tried therapy, doing the affirmations, the vision boards, doing these things to try and align your conscious desires with your subconscious so that you're actually taking the action to create the life that you want. But a big missing piece in this world that has been hidden from plain sight is that your physiology is what is contributing to your reality. The whole nervous system piece has been missing for such a long time. And so we have a large portion of people who are chronically dysregulated, receiving information after information, trying to shift patterns, trying to shift their reality, completely bypassing their body, ignoring that they are chronically dysregulated, and then getting frustrated as to why they are not getting the results that they want, as to why they keep creating something that is not what they actually desire. And that happens. That happens because your physiology is creating your reality. If you are dysregulated, if you are stuck in a state of fight, flight, freeze, that state, that physical state of protection, of bracing, is going to block you from accessing creation, from accessing what you actually desire. It's going to keep you stuck in loops, repeating things from the past. And some people live in states of activation for most of their lives. They have lived in that for most of their lives. And so it's become something that they go into often. And when that happens, it can feel like this is you, your identity. But the reality is it's a state. You keep dropping in and out of it. Because I'm sure you've experienced before where there are moments where you might feel more open to life, and there's hope, and there's desire, and you take action, and things feel good. Why does that happen? That happens because your physiology has moved into a state of regulation. You're not bracing, and from that state, you're able to access your higher self. You're able to access connection, regulation. You can connect to yourself. You can connect to other people. Things feel so much more beautiful. But for a lot of people, they don't, and they haven't accessed that state often because maybe their environment growing up was super chaotic and the people around them were dysregulated. And so even who you are around, that impacts your own nervous system state. And so if your primary caregivers were dysregulated themselves, constantly stuck in a state of survival, then you absorb that as a child because we co-regulate. And so you can imagine when you go throughout your whole life like dysregulated, that's going to impact your perception of the world. And when you're dysregulated, you try and reach for things, whether it's smoking, drinking, drugs, food. Food is a big one, to try and soothe all of these emotions, these feelings, these sensations that no one ever taught you how to digest, how to be with, how to sit with. If you didn't have anyone helping you regulate certain emotions when you were younger, those moments where you suppressed, say, the sadness, the grief, the anger, that stays stuck, stagnant. It stays trapped. And when something is too much to process as a child and you don't have anyone around you to process it with, that doesn't teach you how to regulate and soothe, that becomes suppressed. And what's suppressed, that becomes an opposite of that. There's something that is expressed, and that tends to be the protector part. We all have these protector parts within us. And so maybe your protector, every time, say if you experienced something deeply sad as a child, every time that feeling of sadness comes on, your protector might be like, no, we are not feeling this, absolutely not. And it avoids it. And a lot of people have this. We all have avoider parts that wants to stop us from feeling certain things that were too uncomfortable to process and feel when you were younger. And so this avoider part does anything and everything to prevent you from actually feeling what is underneath. And so you can imagine, if you've gone throughout most of your life avoiding, suppressing, you have all of this stagnant and stuck energy. And that is what is causing you to feel stuck. That is what is causing your reality, because we are always creating, but most people are unconsciously creating what they don't want. And if you've been on this path, if you've been absorbing information and trying to change your reality and trying to do the shadow work and the identity work, and still things are not changing in your reality, the missing picture is most likely the nervous system piece, the physiology piece. When you can start working with your body somatically to start processing these things safely, okay? Safely is the key word. To start processing what has been suppressed, allowing your body to complete certain cycles that have been suppressed, that were never allowed to be expressed growing up, then that frees up space. It frees up space for you to actually create. It allows you to move out of dysregulation into regulation. The more you can open up this beautiful channel with your body, because your body is this amazing instrument. It is so powerful, but no one has taught you how to actually work with it, how to be with it, how to tune it. When you can actually learn how to work with it, to understand your physiology, to understand how it moves, to understand when it's regulated, dysregulated, regulated, and how to come back when you're dysregulated and return into regulation. That's when life becomes so much easier to digest. That's when you're able to create more, to work with your system instead of fighting against it. Because most people have been taught to be at war with themselves, to be at war with their body. But the reality is your body is here doing its job, keeping you safe. It's been keeping you safe. It's protecting you. So just really take a moment to take that in. It's been protecting you in the only way that it knows how. Yes, certain behavioral patterns may not be serving you, but it learned to exhibit these behavioral patterns to keep you safe. It didn't have anything else. It didn't have a nurturing parent maybe, or person around them growing up to help them process certain emotions, to help them process the sadness, the anger. And so they reached for what was present in their space, in their environment. Maybe they reached for the TV or food. Whatever that has been for you, really take a moment to appreciate that all this time your body has been keeping you safe. And so if you've been stuck in this loop, trying to create something different for yourself, and you're exhausted with the fact that you keep repeating the same patterns, keep getting pulled back by the old identity, no matter how much shadow work you've been doing, and no matter how much you've been trying to consciously change your reality, then I'm sure the missing piece for you is the physiology, is your nervous system. Once you can work with your body safely, then as I said, you free up that space. Because the way out is always through the body.